Hogwarts, rising as Harry's twin with power. Episode 246, Dumbledore's Double Standard. Seeing that Rogier had regained his composure, Darren prepared to leave. Only he was stopped again by Rogier. Wait. How are shares calculated? We can't take advantage of you for nothing. Rogier said with some wriggling. No, I don't want it, as long as you can get back on the right path and don't think like that again. Darren shook his head, revealing the expression of the Holy Father. In fact, I was thinking about how much I wanted to win for myself. It is impossible for him to say no, this woman will not give, right? Darren was shocked. So many people around? Isn't there just 3 people? Well, just now 3 people gave him the value of the Father, which does not mean that there are only 3 people. But is everyone crazy? How many of these are the people of the Saints? How many of them are the people of Dumbledore? Darren didn't think much of the Saints' men coming into England, and Dumbledore would not have known about it. He had always suspected that Dumbledore was trying to get away with it, waiting for these people to do something. But he never imagined that there were so many people here. Don't these people squeeze? Fortunately, he has god-level acting skills. So he didn't show any other expression. Instead, he continued to show his little Holy Father's gentle smile. The shares are just for you. Just give it to you, you can give us a salary, and those of us who want to have a home. Rogier hesitated, but finally decided to give all the shares to Darren. They don't want to wander anymore. Darren was silent for a moment. Rogier noticed that he seemed to want to reject the idea of taking all the shares, but when he heard about giving them a home, Darren finally responded. I know that you are the last Dark Lord, and if you take you, I will probably be caught and taken into Azkaban. But I thought and thought, anyone has a chance to correct it. I know, I may have taken it for granted. The harm you caused to others in the first place may be that others need to make up for it for a lifetime. But let you out, maybe you are cornered, may cause another injury. I knew that what I could do at this stage was actually tell Headmaster Dumbledore. There are only 2 Father's Value reminders. Apparently, there were only 2 of Dumbledore's men. And as Darren said this, he felt as if there were magic fluctuations in the air. Obviously, some of the Saints could not sit still. But as if he didn't feel it, he was silent for a while and continued, I can't beat you. He was blunt. Rogier was stunned. Seeing him laugh, he whispered, yes, I can't beat you, so I can't give you to Headmaster Dumbledore, I need to provide you with a home. This batch of father values is clearly provided by the Saints. As if he hadn't heard anything, Darren continued, yes, I need to provide you with a home that I want us to maintain together. If one day you do something bad, then I will kill you and then pay for this decision with my own life. I only say this, I hope you don't let me down, all the shares are placed in me, and I will build a home for you. Darren listened to these father's values and smiled in his heart. But on the surface, he was still a little heavy. He turned back and bowed to Rogier. I hope you don't let me down. He said sincerely. Obviously everything is blocked, just so that they can live in peace. Even at the cost of doing such an illegal thing. Rogier nodded with red eyes, and she covered her face. They finally have family again. Thank you. Rogier said sincerely. Darren laughed. He thought for a moment and said, next time don't stun me, you can write to me. Also, what about Lizzie? He was a little worried. Apparently worried that something was wrong with his cat. Oh, it's all right, it's out in the sun. Rogier said with a smile. Darren waited until he got back to school and went to find Dumbledore. Oh, accepted the power of the Saints. And let Dumbledore see it with his own eyes, or need to report it. Headmaster, I think so, letting them go is likely to lead to greater consequences. Then put them by our side so that Headmaster Dumbledore you can also notice them. The principal cannot be more tolerant of them, I just promised them. Dumbledore laughed. His smile was very kind. Leaning back in his chair, he said, Darren, do you know what kind of decision you made? I know, Headmaster Dumbledore, that I know what kind of decision I have made myself. I know that taking them in also bears the consequences of what they cause. So I decided that if they really did something horrible, I would take my life. No, 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 kid. Dumbledore interrupted him. Child, you made a great decision when I learned your identity. Not Potter's identity. Of course, I can't tell you the specifics for the time being, but I just want to say, child, you sometimes always make me think that you will become a great person in the future, Dumbledore said in admiration. Darren heard his tone full of sincerity. But he was speechless. Boy. Listening to this tone, Old Dang seemed to know his Grindelwald bloodline. But is Old Dang a little too double-standard? Before what he did, Old Dang suspected that he had bad intentions. As a result, now that he had even taken in the previous Dark Lord, Old Dang only felt that he had made a great decision. Double-standard dog. The old lover's child is just different. And Grindelwald. This old goods is also too fast, right? so quickly told old Dang about his identity. This is to come to offering Lu, right? I'm afraid he also blew his thoughts before, in order to resurrect Ariana. Dumbledore forgave him like that? Dumbledore, think of your dead sister. Episode 247, Vindictive Pride. Dumbledore looked at Darren's back and felt nothing but absurdity in his heart. Gellert actually had children. Although it had nothing to do with him, he was moved to hear Gellert explain the origin of Darren's bloodline. Oh, yes. At that time, 2 months of getting along in Godric Valley, they both needed to spend a lifetime to let go. Dumbledore was still in love with Grindelwald. It's just that he used to think that they are already old, and it is better to see each other than not to see each other. Darren, on the other hand, made him seriously talk to Grindelwald. When Grindelwald took out the hallows they had exchanged earlier, his old face was almost red. He knew that agreeing to Grindelwald out of Newengard was probably the most irrational decision he had ever made in his life. But in Grindelwald's approach, he relented. All he remembered was that at the end, he whispered, "Grindelwald, if you deceive me again, I will make you doom." If this man had lied to him, he would not have spared him when he died. "Oh, Darren, you are here, you should have informed us before you were called away by Headmaster Dumbledore. If Professor McGonagall hadn't told us that we would have all died of emergency." Hermione anxiously stopped Darren. She had a look of concern on her face. There were fears of Darren's disappearance, as well as his own visit to Dumbledore's office. Darren was stunned. Professor McGonagall? Isn't it supposed to be Snape? Snape out of favor? Oh, and I haven't been spoiled. That was Snape who informed Professor McGonagall. Well, since knowing that Darren had his blood in him, Snape was desperate to stay away from him in some small matter. It seems that you can get rid of the relationship without meeting. Tut. Of course, what he had to do now was answer Hermione's question. Darren immediately had a guilty look on his face. He opened his mouth hesitantly. He wanted to say that he had forgotten, but he couldn't lie, he could only say nothing. "I'm sorry, I was before. I forgot. Yes, I forgot." He stammered. Almost as soon as he said it, Harry understood that something very important must have happened just now, which made Darren show such an expression. It was likely that what had just happened had left Darren too late to tell them. "Well, you can't lie, you won't lie. Don't push yourself," Hermione said helplessly. But since Darren was all right, they were happy again. "Look, this is the diary we picked up, and according to the name of Tom Riddle we found, this name was a student 50 years ago." Hermione said mysteriously. 50 years ago? Darren raised his eyes in surprise. He saw Hermione with an admiring expression and said, "Sure enough, it was Darren, I guessed it at once." Unlike the two of them, after thinking about it for half a day, they didn't think there was anything wrong with this diary. She looked at Harry and Ron with disdain. Brother and Ron just didn't think about it for a moment. "Oh, Darren, you've always been so kind and simple." They didn't think of it at all, they just didn't want to use their brains. Hermione glared at Harry and Ron. The time when the Chamber of Secrets was opened was 50 years ago, and now there are these diaries from 50 years ago. Maybe the diaries want to tell us? Darren said hesitantly. He took out his wand and tapped it on the diary. He noticed that the diary exuded a trace of magic. I don't know if he can call Tom out. As a result, after his wand was put up, the diary not only did not react, but even the slightest magic power emitted from it was gone. Forehead. Darren was a little speechless. This Tom Riddle had a really strong intuition. Obviously, although the last time had been forgotten, there was still a psychological shadow in his heart. Even for fear of being discovered by him, even a little magic was hidden. As for? Darren complained. However, he pretended not to find anything, and handed Harry the diary. "It doesn't seem to work, maybe I guessed wrong." He found out what he had said. The magic of the diary appeared again. Apparently, Tom thought he was making a fuss about himself. What ability does a second-grade kid have to recognize him? Darren flashed a gentle smile. "I hope that by the end of the semester, this Mr. Tom Riddle will still be so confident. The rest of life is much more comfortable. Because there were no more attacks. And the weather at Hogwarts is much warmer." Darren could finally stop being wrapped up in a ball. Fast forward to February. Lockhart has returned to teaching life again. Although his teaching is still terrible, because he came out, he apologized to Darren, so he won the love of some face-looking little witches. February 14th. When Darren came out to breakfast with his Slytherin classmates in the morning, he was stunned. Because on the walls here, there are large petals hanging from the petals, and there are debris falling from the petals. As soon as Darren saw the scene, he knew it was Lockhart. Sure enough, as soon as he looked up, he saw Lockhart sitting above the teacher's seat. Not because of Lockhart's handsomeness. It's because of Lockhart's riots. He was wearing a robe with large flowers, and his eyes were constantly blinking. The faces of several professors around him were extremely ugly. It's like being cursed. Professor McGonagall's muscles above his cheeks stiffened. Snape held a kitchen knife in his hand and looked at the pose as if he were about to give Lockhart a shot at any moment. Oh, dear fellow students, 16 people have sent me greeting cards so far. On this day, forgive me for the little surprise I have prepared for you, and I have also prepared. Also, there are things you like. He clapped his hands, and 12 dark-faced dwarfs came in with harps on their backs and golden wings. Surprise? This is my little arrows for you. They can give you cards and give you a good Valentine's Day. Why don't you, like your Professor Snape, ask how to boil the ecstasy? Lockhart said excitedly. Darren saw with interest that the professor's eyes revealed a hint of vindictive pride. Episode 248, Touch the Porcelain to Understand. Darren looked at Lockhart in the teacher's seat and felt more and more interesting. The professor really didn't look like a smart guy. From the beginning of the school to the present, he has almost offended the entire school. But Darren began to doubt it from the time he read the original book. Can real straw bales be assigned to Ravenclaw? Can a real straw bag come up with the idea of using someone else's experience to write a book? And Darren noticed that Lockhart's book was still very good to read. There is absolutely no problem in reading it as an adventure novel. Can such a person be a straw bale? Even if it is magic garbage, it is not a straw bag. So what this guy has been doing for so long is to get kicked out of Hogwarts teachers and students. It must have been Dumbledore who had brought him here. Today, this guy is afraid it was deliberate. Who can this normal person use a bunch of ugly and bad dwarfs as the god of love? Darren complained. Of course, he thinks what Lockhart did had nothing to do with him. However, he thought too much. As soon as class started, Darren was pulled by 2 dwarfs. Darren Porter, there's a dozen of your soundtracks. A dwarf said with a somber face. A dozen? Are the girls at Hogwarts crazy? Darren opened his mouth. He really wanted to take out his wand and kill these guys, but for the sake of his little father image, he still squeezed out an embarrassed smile and said, well, my class is a potion class, otherwise you will come back after I finish class. No way. Must listen, the 2 dwarfs said fiercely. Darren had wanted to cast a confusion spell on them, but he noticed that Snape had appeared from the edge. So he immediately showed a disapproving expression and said, I can't listen now, I'm going to class. The class is the most important. How can I not be able to take a potion class because I listened to this? When he finished, he made the appearance of leaving. Then we don't care. The 2 dwarfs thought he was really going to go and immediately grabbed his bag. Darren was overjoyed, not afraid that if you didn't do it, he was afraid that you wouldn't do it. Can you understand the porcelain touching of my great heavenly dynasty? Just by pulling on the bag, Darren sat down on the ground. The whole face was miserable. You. He covered his chest and made a very uncomfortable look. Darren. Snape almost rushed over. He waved his wand and petrified the 2 dwarves. Then point your wand at Darren's body. His brow furrowed. He didn't sense that Darren had any problems. It's just that since Darren has no problem, how did it come to this? To say that Darren was loaded, Snape was the first to believe it. However, Darren did not plan to install it for a long time. He only installed it for 2 or 3 seconds, and when the dwarf was petrified, he immediately stood up. Professor. It has nothing to do with him, I just felt a little uncomfortable. They should be no problem, I'm too vulnerable. Darren flashed a gentle smile. He looked at the 2 dwarfs with a worried expression. Snape pursed his lips. He looked at Darren with some helplessness. This kid was always so kind. Even if the 2 dwarfs had no problems, they obviously made the child very uncomfortable. Otherwise it wouldn't have made him like this. But even so, the child did not let the 2 dwarfs stay away first, but defended them first. Darren saw Snape's expression. He said with some embarrassment, the professor is too worried about me, so it is very likely that he will do irrational things. It's probably life for them, and I'm just a little uncomfortable. Apparently. The boy was just worried about these dwarfs. He feared that Snape would kill the dwarfs because he was worried about him. Even if he punished these dwarfs, he could not accept such an outcome. But how can the life of these things be worse than that of this child? Just some lowly dwarfs. Snape thought, with some annoyance. But when he saw Darren's worried eyes again, he finally spewed out a word of from inside his nose. He looked at the 2 dwarfs, waved his wand directly, and then let them disappear from Darren's side. Professor. Darren cried hesitantly. Well, they've been sent to Lockhart's side, and I think if you don't believe me, you can check it out. Snape said unhappily. Of course, I also feel a little weak in my heart. Although the 2 dwarfs were sent, they were not necessarily sent in their entirety. But of course he couldn't say. This kid is just too kind. It was disgusting for him to say that at the very least, he should petrify all those damned dwarfs and throw them out of Hogwarts. If the child in front of him was Harry Potter, or any child, he would turn away and ignore his stupid kindness. But Darren was different. When he thought that the child was his, he felt an indescribable excitement. How could Lily really do that? Or maybe Lily doesn't know. But anyway, the child was his. He only had this child now. Snape looked at Darren almost greedily. He can't be a good father, he can only do his best to create a good environment for him. As soon as Darren saw Snape's expression, he knew that the old licking dog was beginning to miss Lily again. He silently complained in his heart. However, a gentle smile appeared on the surface. "Thank you, Professor, thank you for your kindness, I went to the classroom first," he said happily, and then walked into the classroom with his school bag. Snape opened his mouth. He really wanted to say that he was not kind at all, but looking at the child's face, he still held back the sentence. What father wants to create a bad impression in front of his children? Even old bats are no exception. "Darren. How are you?" Harry looked at Darren anxiously. When he saw the dwarfs just now, Darren let him come first. Because class is coming soon. It would be okay if no one else entered the classroom, but if Harry didn't enter the classroom, he would definitely be deducted points. So he was very worried. "It's all right, the professor is so nice, he sent the two lovely dwarfs to Professor Lockhart's office. So brother, don't say bad things about the professor next time." Harry suddenly froze on the spot. Snape gentle? Dwarfs cute? Darren, are you really not crazy? Episode 249, Salazar Slytherin Bloodline. Because Darren was not very accustomed to dwarfs, Lockhart's activity was halted after only half a day. It was Dumbledore who stopped the project. In a serious tone, he told everyone that school is used for learning. It was like Professor McGonagall. But in the morning, he watched Lockhart do this, and he laughed and giggled that students could not always study, and they had to relax properly. Darren once again felt that Dumbledore was a double-standard dog. He had never been treated like this before. The treatment even alarmed Snape. He also thought that Darren was exposed for his bloodline, and rushed into the principal's office with a somber face. After a while, he walked out with a relaxed face. Obviously Dumbledore had appeased him with something. Darren sighed and once again mourned for the old-licking dog. But don't mention that. Darren's happiest of the past 2 days is that Wisengamo's newspaper is about to be published. Really? The next morning, countless owls rushed into Hogwarts. Darren noticed that in addition to the many owls he had here, even every professor in the teacher's seat had many owls rushing over. Then throw down the newspaper, the letter. Darren is especially rich here. He opened the press. It is written with a huge headline, Darren Porter's Great Breakthrough, Squibs Become Wizard Theory. Recently, Darren Porter submitted this theoretical article to this newspaper. The theory in the article, after being studied by all the members of Wysengamo, has infinite possibilities for implementation. Yes, Mr. Darren Porter is undoubtedly great. He blends many methods into it. He also cites wizards 200 years ago in his theory. We explored these theories for 2 months without any mistakes. The members of Wysengamo believe that if Darren Port can really figure out the potion of a squib into a wizard, as his theory says, then he is one of the greatest wizards of the century. No one can resist such a good child. We hope that Dumbledore can give this child the perfect learning space. Maybe we'll see this kid grow into the greatest wizard in the world. The press used almost an entire newspaper to publish Darren's theory. His theories did not occupy a few pages, but the words that complimented him occupied half of the book. Darren blushed a little when he saw it. Is it true? Darren, is what you say true? Filch almost rushed in front of Darren. Darren winked at him and said, Of course it's true, in fact I already have a clue, wait a while for me, I can make Mr. Filch a wizard. In fact, Mrs. Laura's thing, I'm sorry, is that I was too unintelligent, and I should have told you at the beginning that I could save it. You don't have to let it be petrified for so long, so the theory that squibs became wizards is that I'm making amends to you. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing Filch's long-term task, now Filch favorability level 90. Congratulations to the host for winning the high-level bloodline lottery once, is it drawn? Darren smiled even happier. Sure enough, he knew that the theory of this squib becoming a wizard would accomplish this task as soon as it was issued. System, extract the blood vein. Ding, start drawing the bloodline, the extraction is successful. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the Salazar Slytherin bloodline. Salazar Slytherin bloodline, when fused, you can gain the Slytherin Chamber of Secrets, which gives you access to the basilisk. Autofuse after acquisition. Note, there are other hidden perks to explore on your own. Please don't despise a living wizard. After living for so many years, you have no idea who he is disguised as. What? Is Salazar Slytherin still alive? Darren was a little confused. How is that possible? It's been 1,000 years, right? But it's possible. The wizards of that era should be better than the wizards of today. Just like Nicole May could have lived for more than 600 years with the Philosopher's Stone, not to mention the wizards. Darren smirked. Then an address appeared in his mind. It looks like the coordinates are Gryffindor Lounge? Gryffindor lounges hide the secret rooms of Slytherin. Do these two people have any secret to tell? Darren was stunned. Are those fandoms real? Gryffindor and Slytherin have a leg? He felt that the amount of information he was getting today was too great. Fortunately, Filch's cries interrupted him. Darren, it's not your fault, it's all my fault. Also, thank you. Thank you, Filch cried and thanked him. But he was immediately crowded aside by many professors. Darren, I knew you were going to make it. Yeah, they're all asking if Darren is a student I taught. Of course it is, how could my students not know? The professor at Hogwarts looked at Darren excitedly. They had heard Dumbledore say this very early. But Dumbledore didn't say anything specific, and they didn't care too much until just now, when they deeply realized the power of Darren's theory. My uncle. He's a squib, he's too hard. He told me before that he was better off alive than dead. Darren, you saved him, you know? He just wrote to me, saying that he must wait until you study the potion before he dies, Professor Flitwick said excitedly. Darren had a subway grandfather's expression on his phone. How old is Professor Flitwick's uncle? Flitwick himself was very old. Isn't it normal that his uncle is about to go into the ground? And it was too uncomfortable for so many professors to suddenly surround him. He never imagined that professors could be as noisy as 500 ducks. He felt he still had to find a way to get out of here. Otherwise, if these people are allowed to continue, they may have to talk for a day. Darren spat out, and then he immediately showed a worried expression and said, I'll go research the potion now, and you told him to hold on. The expression on his face was extremely anxious. It seems that if people are in a hurry, they are likely to die. He even put the food away. The other professors were stunned. They held out their hands to stop Darren. Professors. I know you want me to take a break, but I can't take a break. I need to develop the potion as soon as possible so that they can become wizards in no time. Episode 250, Cassandra Perspective. Cassandra hated one of her classmates at school. That classmate was called Darren Porter. She had thought she should have had nothing to do with that guy. Because that guy is so stupid. If it had been before, such a person would have definitely made Cassandra completely uninteresting. But without knowing why, she just hated him. Hate him every time stupid to Gryffindor. I also hated that when he heard the news of Gryffindor Harry Potter, he jumped 3 feet high with excitement. Especially when Harry Potter came to the Slytherin table to look for him. Cassandra showed a look of annoyance. Gryffindor came to Slytherin for breakfast, what did he think? Dream. That's how she thought casually. Who knew that stupid guy actually stood up? Nanny? Is he really going to the Gryffindor table? Is he crazy? Cassandra grabbed him by the shoulders. Just such a small body, still want to go to Gryffindor, not afraid of being picked up by Slytherin? She thought with some disgust. This guy had better be obedient, otherwise. She looked up into the guy's eyes, and then she was stunned. Those emerald green eyes were full of prayer. This guy begged her? Cassandra was a little annoyed. She had known this guy for so long, and this guy didn't show a pleading look at her, and it turned out to be because of this Harry Potter. It's so infuriating. Cassandra felt she hated to kill him. He deserves to be punished. Go back and be punished so badly by those people that you cry. Let this stupid guy be taught a lesson. She angrily lowered her hand and thought. Then she heard the guy's origins. Coming from an orphanage? Still picking up rotten vegetable leaves to eat. Excessively. Cassandra angrily put down the knife and fork in her hand. She didn't feel angry that she was being abused by that stupid guy. She just hated that muggles were bad for wizards. No matter how stupid that guy was, he was also a Slytherin wizard. Although it is not pure blood. She was also a little upset to hear the other Slytherins. Everyone should be an idea, right? That guy was stupid, but they Slytherin people couldn't be bullied. She thought irritably. Just back in the dorm room, they were faced with a problem, discussing how to punish the stupid guy. She was almost the first to raise her hand and said haughtily, I am a first-year prefect, you will give me the right to punish, and I will let him be punished. Leave it to you? Won't you take sides? Let me say that everyone still casts a spell on him and makes him punished, a guy named Flint said happily. His claims didn't win much praise, and many of those Slytherins were hesitating, not knowing what they were thinking. Cassandra squinted, how dare this Flint contradict her? Go back at night and be sure to give him a very much. But she still did not refute it. Because she could see at a glance that most people didn't intend to punish the stupid guy. The stupid guy was stupid, but surprisingly, he was very popular in Slytherin. These people did not want him to be punished. Cassandra felt a little angry, just like the stupid guy. Who else likes it? Can't learn from her? Be cold to him? A group of haughty Slytherins quarreled in the lounge for half a day, but finally decided that one of them would cast a spell on him to punish him. And also use their momentum to scare the stupid guy. Let him not take the rules seriously. Cassandra had wanted to refuse, but thinking about the guy's abilities, she ultimately didn't say anything. That guy should be punished a little bit, too. Did he think Slytherin was his home? Afternoon. The guy was excited to come back. He holds a bunch of biscuits, right? Cassandra felt that she couldn't recognize what it was. Did those Gryffindors take him out just to give him that pile of crap? Then he might as well ask her to point out her house candy biscuits piled up in mountains, ahem. But she still didn't speak, ready to scare him as they had said, but before he could be frightened, Malfoy suddenly began to laugh at him. Cassandra was about to laugh at the guy for not being able to distinguish between forms when she saw the guy smile dismissively. Heck, Malfoy, who was ridiculed as always looking for his dad, wasn't stupid. He did it on purpose. Deliberately interrupting them to intimidate stupid guys. Cassandra gagged, and sure enough, Slytherin wasn't too stupid. There is only one stupid guy. And in addition to Malfoy disrupting the rhythm, Betsy, the big lady of the Greengrass family, also disrupted the rhythm. As soon as she stood up, she blamed the stupid guy. And put them into a good discussion, one person to give a spell punishment into a drill heart spell. Cassandra frowned slightly. Drill heart mantra, how can this spell be used? And Becky Greengrass seems to have been saved by this stupid guy, right? Can she cast a drill spell on her own savior? There are quirks. Cassandra pinched her chin. She stood haughtily by the side, and she decided, just here, to see what they were going to do. The stupid guy's scream suddenly rang out. Cassandra was startled. She also thought that Betsy had come to be real. After all, the stupid guy was calling it too realistic. If the stupid guy pretended to be it, she really didn't believe it. However, when she took a closer look, the stupid guy himself was a little incredulous. He seemed to want to say something, but he couldn't seem to say it. This should be a tongue-locking spell, right? Well done, Cassandra felt that she herself should learn the spell. Stupid guys need this sometimes. She now hears the stupid guy talking to Harry Potter and feels a straight headache. He should have been shut up. Not to mention, he is still quite cute with his mouth closed. So, some people are suitable for shutting up. Cassandra watched as the Slytherins around her were all astigmated. These people really think that the stupid guy has been cast a drill curse. How come they don't have the ability to observe it all? Of course, for the sake of the stupid guys they had a perfect performance, Cassandra decided to help them for free. Help them drive away some of the guys who want to stay and cast a spell on the stupid guys. Well, she didn't really want to help the stupid guys, she just thought the stupid guys were doing a very good job. With his brain acting so far, it is very good. Episode 251, Nasty Guy. Going to fly class? The stupid guy stood with his head on his back. A wisp of stupid hair shook as his head swayed in the trend. Cassandra suddenly wanted to laugh, but immediately became arrogant again. Even the hair is uneven. Just as she was about to laugh at him, she heard Malfoy's taunts. What exactly is this Malfoy trying to do? He is obviously not stupid, why does he always act like a fool? Cassandra was a little confused. But she immediately forgot about this doubt, because who could not have a little secret? And even more, because the stupid guy was injured. Someone attacked Malfoy. Attack on Malfoy. How can it be? The Malfoy family had no enemies, so how could they have been attacked? And the worst thing is that it was Malfoy who attacked and the stupid guy who was injured. Cassandra was disgusted. How did she know this guy? Yes, she remembers the first time she met this guy. This guy blocked Betsy's bullets. Stupid, don't pull a few. I don't know what I learned in those previous days. Wouldn't you learn how to be stupid? She took the medicine out of her pocket and was about to throw it at him, saying she didn't want it. Who knew he had gone into hiding in the dormitory? And after coming out of the dormitory, there really is no smell of blood on the body? Interesting. Potter seems to be really funny. There seem to be little secrets hidden. Cassandra stuffed the wound medicine into her pocket, without the slightest thought of exploring. Well, that's Dumbledore's business, what does that have to do with her? Flying lessons. Cassandra watched as the fool had saved the Longbottom's house, and then ran to Harry Potter in a fit of rage. She also thought that the stupid guy finally knew about the fight, and who knew that the guy would call Harry Potter a stupid lion again. Cassandra was a little speechless for the first time. Isn't the stupid lion the stupid guy in front of you? She felt that even Harry Potter was more stable than him. She almost laughed. At the end of class, she had planned to go over and taunt him. Who knows what she saw? She saw what the stupid guy was saying to the Gryffindor Miss Master. Say it's to comfort Miss Gryffindor's jackpot, who knows what dirty things to do. Of course, she felt that she should be biased in thinking like this. After all, they are all first-year students, and what they can do is simply clear at a glance. But she was angry that the two of them were sitting on the grass outside the castle, that kind of cozy look. He didn't know what he had said to Miss Master, which made Miss Master's face turn red. What a nuisance. Excessively. Cassandra was furious. But there is no way to say anything? What can she say? She was just the prefect of a freshman. Or the prefect that the stupid guy doesn't want. She turned and left, never to look at this Potter again. Cassandra was furious. Back at Hogwarts I heard Harry Potter and Malfoy about a duel. Oh, how come he wasn't dueled to death? She's looking forward to Malfoy's power. However, the stupid guy came, and he actually tried to stop it. And he's going to follow Harry Potter to Gryffindor. It's a laughing death. Did he really want to be punished in Slytherin? Even if Betsy saved him last time, wouldn't he be afraid that the next time the punishment would be even more terrifying? She was furious. Grab him and threatened to say, "Come, Potter, tell your brother what will happen when you eat here." Harry Potter knew nothing. He always pays by that stupid guy, how come he never goes to Slytherin to eat with the stupid guy? The stupid guy was frightened by her. Eventually, he returned to the Slytherin table in despair. Watching him stuff his mouth with food in frustration, Cassandra rolled her eyes. Is Gryffindor food delicious? She thought unhappily. Meal. She saw that Gryffindor's Harry Potter had received a broom. What's going on? Do first-year students still have this treatment? Or is it Harry Potter's prerogative? Looking at the envious expression of the stupid guy next to her, Cassandra silently calculated her pocket money, as if it was enough to buy a broom. She just hates Harry Potter's privilege. Nanny? So many people send brooms to stupid guys? How many people exactly did this guy seduce? Cassandra suddenly clenched her fists. What's going on? The Miss Jack of Fame sent it to him, and she thought it was possible. Betsy sent it to him, and she felt no problem. But how come there are so many other Slytherin girls? Don't these girls usually say in the lounge that stupid guys are too stupid? Do they hate such boys the most? Oh, liar. In the blink of an eye, it's Halloween. I heard the stupid guy had a fight with the guy from Weasley, because Miss Jackpot. The stupid guy finished his class and kept looking for the Gryffindor Miss Master. Cassandra was bored. Was that hemp wizard very good looking? It's Hermione Granger all day. She couldn't bear to say it. But it wasn't until she saw him gobble up at the Halloween feast, just to find that Granger, that Cassandra finally revealed the location of that Granger. She wasn't a good-hearted attack, she just couldn't see his rude look. That's right. The first time I learned about Miss Master, the stupid guy was going to rush out. She was ready to stop him, and who knew if he hadn't, the strange Quirrell said there were trolls in the basement. Basement? Didn't that Miss Jackpot just cry in the basement? Cassandra hurried back to the Fool, and sure enough, it was long gone. Boo. Just as they organized their way back to the Slytherin lounge. A loud bang resounded throughout Hogwarts. Cassandra stood up anxiously, and she slipped quietly out of the Slytherin lounge. And as soon as she went out, she saw Professor McGonagall carrying the stupid guy to the school doctor's office and following Cassandra without thinking, until she heard Mrs. Pomfrey say that the stupid guy was all right, but after losing his strength, she disdained us. What a stupid lion to lose the face of Slytherin. If he could, he really wanted everyone to give him a punishment. Hope that calms him down. Let him get in trouble again, and Hogwarts will blow up. But Potter's magic is really strong. Listening to the previous voice, Potter's magic was no worse than that of the senior wizard. In this comparison, does she think that Harry Potter and Darren Port are called by the wrong name? Are you sure it wasn't the stupid guy who defeated the Dark Lord? Episode 252 is very hard. After Halloween, Hogwarts hosted a Quidditch. Cassandra was bored. Because the stupid guy jumped up and down in front of her. One moment standing on a high platform, the next jumping down in search of Harry Potter's figure. What's there to find? Won't catching the golden snitch find him? But someone even cast a curse on the broom of Harry Potter. Cassandra frowned. Could it be that the Death Eaters had sneaked in? She looked at the stupid guy who was worrying next to her, really wanting him to leave the school. The school doesn't seem to be very safe anymore. He might as well go back to his orphanage and maybe save his life. How could the Death Eaters spare Harry Potter's brother? Fortunately, Harry Potter was all right, and he caught the golden snitch. The stupid guy cheered next to her and jumped straight out of the stage. Cassandra sneered, it was stupid. Christmas is coming. Potions class. Malfoy mocked Harry Potter as the wild child no one wanted. She subconsciously looked at the stupid guy. His eyes were a little red, but he tried to calm himself down. Thinking of his former life in the orphanage, Cassandra did not look at him unscrupulously for the first time. After class, she heard a lot of Slytherin accusing Malfoy. How can you say that? Yeah, he must have died sad to lose his parents. I saw him cry. Did the stupid guy cry? Cassandra thought about it and shook her head. The stupid guys are a lot stronger than they think. He's just a little sad, but he doesn't cry. Because he may have understood that no matter how many tears there are, the place in the orphanage will not be useful. Cassandra, aware of this thought, pursed her lips. Then she went into her dorm room irritably. What's the matter with her? Potter was killed in the orphanage, and it had nothing to do with her. Thinking of Porter's experience, Cassandra deliberately bought a large bag of candy and biscuits. She remembered that Gryffindor had given such bad cookies to the stupid guy, thinking he should have cherished them. She couldn't finish eating these things, so she might as well give them to him. He's been eating less lately, probably because of Malfoy's words, right? After Christmas. One day, she heard Malfoy say Harry Potter that they had raised a dragon. He also said that he was going to report Harry Potter to the professor. She heard Pansy's worried question, what if Darrenport was there too? Then he will have to be caught again. Cassandra rolled her eyes. This Pansy, since the last time he saw the stupid guy get up after the drill curse, he was suddenly more enthusiastic about the stupid guy. Apparently, the Parkinsons thought stupid guys might also be the object of a marriage. Pansy is now showing favor to the stupid guy. It's just that she always shows kindness behind her back, and she's too stupid. She has the ability to follow the stupid guy every day, just like the Miss Jackpot. What do you do in the lounge all day? Can the stupid guy still hear it? She was disgusted. Hate Pansy's stupidity, hate Malfoy's bad. But Malfoy still said with a bit of a brain, it won't involve Darren. Well, I saw from that Weasley's letter that they were going to send the dragon themselves and let Darren guard outside. I went to Professor McGonagall, who liked Darren Porter the most, and he would certainly not be punished when the time came. Act with that Miss Jackpot again. Cassandra was expressionless. What does the impunity of a stupid guy have to do with her? However, the next day, she found out that the stupid guy had been locked up twice. Is this what Malfoy says won't be punished? I didn't know that he actually punished himself. Professor McGonagall didn't punish him at all, he was going to add it to himself. And we also had the misfortune of meeting Professor Snape. Alas, knowing that I would not report it, I thought I could seize the scene where they sent the dragon, let Professor McGonagall collect the dragon, and let me open my eyes. Now it's okay, nothing, and I've added confinement to myself, Malfoy said angrily. She heard a tidal burst of laughter coming from the Slytherin lounge. But the laughter disappeared when the stupid guy came in, because the stupid guy still had guilt on his face. No way? Was he one implicated as to be so pitiful? Cassandra had never imagined that the stupid guy's confinement was in the Forbidden Forest. Dumbledore went crazy? He actually took people to the Forbidden Forest? Several of the Slytherin girls were discussing whether Dumbledore was stupid. Going to the Forbidden Forest so late is because you want their lives? Cassandra felt it shouldn't. Dumbledore didn't care about the lives of stupid guys, could he still care about Harry Potter's life? However, the stupid guy went into the school doctor's office again. It is said to have saved a unicorn. Crazy, right? What a stupid guy that a unicorn needs to save. Fortunately, this time there should be no injuries, and the next day he appeared again. He just sat next to her and ate so well. Then he saw Harry Potter and ran out happily. Cassandra had wanted to laugh at his stupidity, but then looked at his back and thought, what is the matter with her? Finally, they came to the end of the semester. At the time of the exam, she was right behind the stupid guy. While practicing the operation, she saw the stupid guy conjure up a delicate Chinese snuff bottle out of a mouse. Chinese? This guy seems to like that place a lot. I heard that the core of his wand was the reverse scale of the Chinese Eastern dragon. And his taste seems to be more skewed there. Cassandra also changed into a delicate Chinese-style snuff bottle according to his silhouette. Then she saw Professor McGonagall's clear eyes. What is this look? She didn't plagiarize stupid guys, she just imitated it. It's hard, isn't it? Professor McGonagall asked softly. The chase must have been very hard behind his back. I don't understand what you're talking about. Cassandra came out of the classroom. She looked arrogant. Cassandra vore, no need for sympathy from others. She also had nothing to do with that stupid guy. I just don't know why, I just feel a slight acid in my heart. Obviously she met first, why did that stupid guy always fail to see her? What's so good about that Miss Master? She always caused him so much trouble, and almost hurt him last time, why did he like to stay next to that Granger? Can't he see himself, sitting next to him at all times? Episode 253, she didn't know? Cassandra felt terrible. She hadn't taken care of that Potter for 2 days. Although she felt that the Potter hadn't actually noticed that she was not paying attention. Just when she was haughtily thinking that Cassandra must not be angry with that guy, she suddenly heard Pansy's sad arguments. Darren was sent to the school doctor's office. Why did you go to the school doctor's office again? I heard that he was cast under the drill heart curse, and when I went to see him, he seemed to be almost dead. Drill the heart spell? Is it Betsy's? No way. How could someone cast a drill heart spell on him? No one in this school wants it, right? It's true, I heard Madame Pomfrey's roar, and she said she couldn't guarantee that Potter would wake up all right. If a doctor can't guarantee that a patient wakes up well, what does she have to do? Junk medicine. If only St. Mungo's was sure it would have been cured. Longbottom, you know what? His parents became fools because they were cast by the Death Eaters to drill the heart. Has been living in St. Mungo, she seems to have heard of it? By the way, listen to that stupid guy said. He said that Lombard idiot was a hero after that. It seemed normal for his parents to be cast by Death Eaters with a heart drill spell. It was a long time than Betsy had applied, and I heard Madame Pomfrey say that it was long. How long is it? No specific time is given. Deceptive, right? Harry Potter was sent in with him. Yes, even Harry Potter went to the school doctor's office, and he was able to save his life. Now, don't you act so obvious. If you let the Vorley family know that you like that guy, I'm afraid you'll find trouble, right? Pansy came around from behind. Cassandra found herself in tears. Still use you to say? She wiped away her tears and raised her head proudly. She was the child of the ancient wizard Worry family, how could she possibly like Harry Potter's brother? She's not laughing at him. Only, she looked back at Pansy. Doesn't she like stupid guys? Pansy ran her finger over the corner of her mouth and smiled. Don't forget, the Worley family, as well as the Parkinsons, have had contact with that lord, and we are enemies with him. Yeah, that's why you never show concern for him outside of Slytherin, and Slytherin certainly doesn't have a fool. She shouldn't underestimate anyone. Except for the stupid guy. Summer vacation. Cassandra tentatively told her mother that she liked Harry Potter's brother. Mom ignored her. No. Mom gave her a mocking expression. The love of wolves and sheep? She asked later. Cassandra felt not. That guy wasn't a wolf. Oh, I mean you're a wolf, the daughter of the Death Eater is in love with the brother of the Savior, the forbidden love. Mom laughed even harder. Cassandra was annoyed. She can only pretend that she doesn't care about the relationship. But she was still secretly following the news of the stupid guy. The stupid guy went back to his aunt's house. The stupid guy was doing quite well at his aunt's house. Better than Harry Potter. Well, she said stupid guy and Harry Potter had to change. Harry Potter is like a savior. Hey, Harry Potter was warned for using magic in front of muggles? It's miserable. Cassandra smiled sadly. Why didn't he drop out of school? Harry Potter and his brother stayed at the Weasley house. Cassandra's disgusted mouth. Weasley's house, she suspected, didn't have a toilet. Pansy came over to play with her during the summer. Now, you didn't even fight for it again? Incredible, she kind of looked at jokes. Cassandra, of course, did not say the result of her temptation, and she looked up haughtily. I just went the wrong way for a while, I know what I want. Cut, pretend, Aunt Vorley has found my house, and she asked my mother if Darren had given you a drug, and she thought you were crazy. Pansy said with disgust. Cassandra realized in a trance that her mother was not paying any attention to what she was saying. What did your mother say? At this thought, she was a little anxious about her mother's decision. Mother said look at myself, betting on both ends is a common means of our aristocrats, I just don't want to express more enthusiasm, is that right? Sure enough, there were too many smart people in Slytherin. But, my mother. Then I don't know, you have to ask your mother yourself, and it seems that she has always firmly believed that you have been drugged by Darren. But this has been more than half a summer vacation, I think Aunt Vorley should not think like that again, right? Where does the ecstasy last so long? Cassandra thought the same thing, but her mother never mentioned it to her. She sighed. And then within a few days I heard the stupid guy work out a new version of the antidote, which was on the front page of the Daily Prophet. What an antidote! This has been something that no one has been able to improve for many years, and the result is that a first-year student, no, a second-year student will do it. Dad paid attention to it. Only then did he remember that Cassandra liked Darren. Do you really like him? Dad looked at her with an expression of disbelief. Apparently, he had the same opinion as Mom. How could Cassandra possibly like Darren Porter? It's really hard to figure it out. I know, you didn't get into the drug, my daughter I know. Mr. Vorley stood up and said seriously. Cassandra's eyes were a little red. She also thought she had been addicted, but she liked it so much, what could she do? If it had been before, I wouldn't have agreed to it at all. Even if it was a two-pronged bet, I wouldn't have chosen Darren Porter. You know, he's Harry Potter's younger brother. He was probably going to die at any moment, and I couldn't possibly have my only daughter like him. But you should thank him for the antidote he made, and if he was adopted by Nicole May as his heir, perhaps the chances of his survival will be much higher. Having said all that, I just want to tell you, Miss Wally, that what you might need is to be strong. Wanting to be with Darren Porter means a lot of trouble, and if you are not strong yourself, then how can you be with him? By the way, what did he say? Wouldn't he just leave you alone to face such a scene? Cassandra blushed rarely. He doesn't know. I don't know? Mr. Wallet's handsome face showed a rare look of surprise. Episode 254, doesn't know anything? Don't know at all? Mr. Vorley did his best to ask again. Cassandra shook her head weakly. He's always with that Gryffindor Miss Master, what can I do? I can't have grabbed him, can I? She said angrily. He was greeted by a more puzzled expression on Mr. Vorley's face. You didn't do something? Hasn't this child always been very scheming? But I can't use it when I see him. Cassandra was aggrieved. It's over, then you're completely finished. Mr. Vorley shook his head bitterly. His daughter had done this for a boy, how could he stop it? What if neither I nor your mother agrees? Mr. Worley sat across from Cassandra and asked solemnly. Cassandra pursed her lips. She didn't know. Maybe she couldn't think about it at all. After all, the stupid guy didn't take a good look at her. Well. Mr. Vorley stood up. He was ready to end this boring conversation. Cassandra was a little nervous. Could it be that Dad heard that she was so useless and wouldn't allow her to be with that guy? Or even maybe she could be transferred? I just won't see him anymore? Transfer? Well, she doesn't have to. Behind him followed so hard. Well, work on yourself. When you catch up, let me and your mother know. It's not that you haven't heard a little bit to tell us until now. Harm we ask everywhere whether there is the latest version of the addiction, will not use the time to reach a month or two. Mr. Vorley left indignantly, leaving Cassandra finally smiling. Yeah, she really has to work hard. In the blink of an eye, it was finally time to start school. Cassandra and Pansy sat on the train. Pansy listened to her gossip talk about the conversation with her father, and then laughed. Sure enough, it is worthy of you. If my father knew, absolutely let me roll. The 8 characters have not been skimmed, they have already told the parents. With your tube, you'll tell me which carriage that stupid guy got into, and I'll go and pull him over. Cassandra said angrily. Pansy winked at her, then asked with a grin, are you ready to call him over in the name that Slytherin must act together? Cassandra's unspeakable embarrassment, what about her? This has just gotten the family's consent, and it behaves so brazenly. Be careful that Dumbledore knows that you are pursuing his savior's brother, squirting. He may have found out. The last time I followed Professor McGonagall to the school doctor's office, Professor McGonagall found me. Was it the same as being discovered by Professor McGonagall? Well, it seems that Dumbledore is not ready to stop you, but your attempt to call him over is going to fail. Don't look at me like that, I'm not ready to stop you. After all, I want to spend more time with him. It's just really impossible, because he didn't get on the train. I had overheard the Gryffindor Miss Jackpot telling the others that neither he nor Harry Potter nor Ron Weasley were on the train. They might. Well, is that Harry Potter? They came in a car? Pansy excitedly pointed to the flashing car in the sky. Cassandra frowned, that car didn't look very safe. But it shouldn't matter, that guy is pretty strong. Even if it falls, he has a way. It was only after arriving at the school that she found out that the guy had not come in the car with Harry Potter, but had been sent by the Aurors. This made her very confused. But she was relieved. Then pray that the car fell and threw Harry Potter into the school doctor's office. That way no one was in front of her all day and called that stupid guy away. Miss Cassandra, do you know where my brother is? As long as you tell me, I can do anything. For that Harry Potter, this stupid guy prayed to her for the second time. Cassandra was very upset. She had done so much for the stupid guy, how could he just not look at her more? She was angry and didn't tell him, and then he magically rioted. Watch as blood poured out of his body, and the terrifying power. Cassandra's face was terrified. How can this be? Was he killed because of Harry Potter? Fortunately, the dean did not know what to say to him, and he finally slowly gathered his strength. But he still sat on the ground and asked everyone to save his brother. He was crazy, Harry Potter just fell from the sky, and he wasn't as miserable as he was. She thought irritably. Fortunately, the next day she saw the guy new. Stupid. After seeing Harry Potter, he ran to Gryffindor again. Why didn't the Sorting Hat assign him to Gryffindor in the first place? Sick of it. Cassandra thought impatiently, but couldn't help but pay attention to him. Be well behaved in class, and rush to Gryffindor at the end of class. His time was full, but without her. Until one day. The Slytherin Quidditch team walked back from outside. They were dejected, and a little angry at each other. I've said it all, you say those guys, what do you say Darren Porter does? Malfoy's unpleasant voice reached Cassandra's ears. Cassandra raised an eyebrow, these people provoked the stupid guys? How did I not get beaten? Pansy went up to ask curiously, and heard them talking in a tongue-in-cheek manner. Flint said Potter was a Slytherin disgrace. Also scolded that Gryffindor jackpot for being a mud seed. Yes, in the end Darren Porter apologized with a wand. One by one, they said strong. It was as if he hadn't noticed the tranquility of the lounge. Scold Miss Mastermind, what does that stupid guy do? That stupid guy wasn't actually a Slytherin disgrace. The latest antidote he had developed had already given Slytherin glory. Cassandra was a little upset, and she looked at Flint and cast a bad luck spell on him, which was also a punishment to punish him. He was talking like this and ruining their Slytherin reputation. That's right, it's reputation, absolutely no idea of giving that stupid guy a. He didn't even return to the Slytherin lounge, so what kind of anger did he have? She didn't care about him. Episode 255, You Are So Strong. Cassandra was so annoyed that she really didn't want to hear any little bit of news from that guy again. All she wanted now was to study quietly at Hogwarts and not tell her anything more about the stupid guy. Only, even if you don't pay attention to the guy's information keeps getting into her ears. Especially on Halloween. She noticed that the stupid guy next to her had become discouraged. Do you remember the last time he was like this, or after being assigned to the Slytherin branch in the first grade, was it Gryffindor's Harry Potter who bullied him again? She glanced subconsciously at Gryffindor, where everything was gone, Weasley, and Harry Potter. The three men did not take him with them. This is really, really sad. It would be better for Harry Potter to abandon him, and he can honestly stay in Slytherin in the future. Cassandra thought slightly excitedly. However, watching him eat with an absent-minded face, and finally, as if thinking of something, he walked out in a hurry. Go find his Harry Potter brother again, right? Cassandra felt particularly angry. But I felt more and more uncomfortable. She was sitting here, and this stupid guy had never noticed her. She shouldn't have told the family about it, because they couldn't have said it. The stupid guy's heart is in Gryffindor, what is she? She thought lostly. But even though she was the heir of the Volley family, or the arrogant chin raised, she was Cassandra. Hey? Stupid guy got an attack? Yeah, I heard he was beaten several times by Filch, and Filch was about to move the knife, when he was interrupted by Dumbledore. Pansy said somewhat angrily next to her. Many others echoed her. Filch is crazy, he went so far as to attack our Slytherin students. Yeah, he deserves to be fired, right? I don't think so, with Darren Porter, the guy is probably going to come out unscathed. Wouldn't you? Potter can even forgive this? Don't forget, Potter took the initiative to let him play. Potter is stupid. A bunch of noble Slytherins finally sighed fiercely, thinking there was nothing they could do with that stupid guy. Sure enough, Filch appeared again the next day. Cassandra walked down the hallway, and she said to herself, Mr. Filch seems to say that Peeves is the most trash being in this school, and I don't know if Mr. Filch is right. After all, I had never seen Peeves and Mr. Filch fight. Perhaps, it is really Mr. Filch who is right, Peeves is not as good as Mr. Filch. She finished reading these words almost expressionlessly, and then saw the Peeves who were quietly hiding not far away rushing into the distance. Well, if you want to come to Mr. Filch, you should be able to feel the enthusiasm of Peeves. No matter how much that guy is, it's not something he can bully. As she thought so irritably, she saw the stupid guy and Harry Potter as they passed her. She was silent. Sure enough, he didn't know that. How could he possibly pay attention to such a thing? Maybe in his opinion, all that she did was a despicable thing? Cassandra suddenly felt that everything she had done was pointless. As Mom said, how can a sheep fall in love with a wolf? And she's still that damn wolf. Cassandra was silent for some time. She didn't know what she was going to do. Obviously, he has been thinking very firmly, even if he can't see his own efforts, he still has to stay by his side. Why is it still so uncomfortable? Quidditch is over. Gryffindor wins again. Cassandra left in silence, and everything that followed had nothing to do with her anyway. However, it was just a night without paying attention to the stupid guy. How come he never came out? She sat in the lounge across from the stupid guy's dormitory, and could see at a glance where he had come out of nowhere. Although he couldn't see her, he might be the first to know that he was intact. However, she waited for a long time and did not see the stupid guy come down. What's going on? Could it be Harry Potter's adventure yesterday that made him angry? Does this guy still have a temper? Cassandra was skeptical. And she's heard a lot of people talk about someone in Gryffindor being petrified. It is said that he went to see Harry Potter petrified last night. Watch Harry Potter. Stupid guys are likely to do this kind of thing. Will he also be petrified? Cassandra couldn't sit still, and she headed for the dean's office. She wanted the dean to open the stupid guy's door and see if the guy was there. The dean hurried over to check it out. Cassandra ran with his footsteps, only to suddenly realize that there were quite a few girls following her. These girls are simply annoying. Can't sit in the lounge? What does it mean to follow her? She thought indignantly. Fortunately, they got the news that the stupid guy wasn't in the lounge, but there shouldn't be anything going on. He left a note saying he was going out to calm down. Wouldn't it be a disagreement with Harry Potter? Cassandra thought with some excitement. Then next time no one would call him away from Slytherin. It's just that. How come the stupid guy didn't come to lunch? Cassandra suddenly thought of what her father had said. He was Harry Potter's younger brother, and he was likely to die at any moment. Anytime? Is this the scene? Completely out of her world? Professor McGonagall came to inform them that they must stay in the Slytherin break room and not run around. She stood up and tried to inquire about the guy, but Professor McGonagall hugged her. Oh, child, don't you cry, we'll find him. Cry? Where did she cry? Obviously Professor McGonagall cried yourself. She looked up to speak, but found herself unable to do so. Don't wipe your tears clean, so many people are watching. Pansy wrapped her arms around her shoulders. Affectionately continued in her ear, there are many people here, don't really show your liking for Darren here. Oh, yes. In Slytherin, everyone can pretend to be good to Potter like Pansy, making it impossible to tell if it's true or not. But there must be no real feelings. The children here, at a young age, already have more scheming than the children outside. Of course, I'm just asking about Potter, after all, he's also a Slytherin of us. Cassandra looked up. Her eyes swept over the closed door. Don't really have an accident. You're so strong. Episode 256, Why is he? Miss Becky Greengrass went to see the scene and heard that it was particularly tragic, that Potter was almost lying in blood, and that there was Flint and their bodies around. Exaggeration, right? Lying in blood? She had only seen such a description of this kind of thing in books. And Flint? Are they dead and turned into corpses? Did Potter do it? Did he kill anyone? No, he can't, only a thoroughly fallen soul can use a murderous spell. Potter didn't dare to kill at all. Professor McGonagall sent Potter to St. Mungo, and I just contacted my aunt. She said Potter was in a bad situation and that if it were any later, Potter would die. Fake, right? How could it be such a coincidence? What is called dying later? Potter is so strong, what can he hurt? That is, those small injuries. Cassandra thought boredly. Just suddenly heard a sobbing sound. She thought she was crying, but when she touched her eyes, she found that it was dry. Not hers. She had been crying in the dormitory for a long time, and she couldn't squeeze out the tears for a moment and a half. Didn't you say you were going to pretend? She looked at Pansy. Pansy said as she hid next to her and stole tears. She thought it was funny. There's nothing to cry about, stupid guy isn't dead again. I pretend, everyone cries, I shed 2 tears, that is social. Pansy pretended to be humorous. Almost teased Cassandra. The stupid guy stayed in St. Mungo for 2 days. They will then be sent directly to trial. She asked her father with a double-sided mirror, the stupid guy should be all right, right? Dad told her that it was a game between Dumbledore and Fudge, and that the stupid guy might be a little embarrassed, but there was certainly nothing wrong. After all, he was also the recipient of Sir Merlin's Order of the First Class. Let him go into Azkaban, doesn't Fudge want to do it? Cassandra was relieved. Just before noon, however, hordes of owls flew in from outside. They brought with them the Shadow Ball and the Daily Prophet. She casually opened the Daily Prophet. What's covered here? Isn't it just the stupid guy who ended the trial intact? The stupid guy refused to cooperate at the trial, and he took all the charges down. He's crazy? Cassandra clenched her fists in anger. Does he want to go to Azkaban? She even wanted to scold something. But thinking of so many people, if she really scolded the news, tomorrow Miss Wur's disgust with Darrenport would spread throughout the upper class. She held back. So she looked at the Shadow Ball. It was sent to her by her father, who only said that if she couldn't watch it, don't force herself to see it. Cassandra snorted, what is there that she can't look at? She opened the photo ball. Then she knew why Dad said that. Here's what the stupid guys encountered. Inside, in order to protect those people, he painfully knelt down to the Death Eaters, pleaded with those people, and gave people a curse. The death of each person made him miserable. She looked at him inside the ball and suddenly understood why he did that kind of thing at the trial. He's just too tired. Why him? Looking at the stupid guy in the picture, Cassandra suddenly asked such a question from the bottom of her heart. Why would Harry Potter's brother be him? Why did those people want to harm Harry Potter, but they chose him? Cassandra found this unimaginable. Then she saw the stupid guy push the door in. What should she say? How could she make him normal and live well? Cassandra racked her brains to think of the comforting words she should have. It turned out sadly that her comforting words were ironic, and it would be even more sad if the stupid guys heard it now. What's more, the stupid guys don't seem to want to talk to them. There was embarrassment and sadness in his eyes. Every word they said should have been cut in his heart. Fortunately, without them comforting the stupid guys, Harry Potter came with his Miss Jackpot and Weasley. The stupid guy hid in the dormitory and didn't want to come out, until the dean rushed in and called him, and he reluctantly walked out. Harry Potter threatened the stupid guy with his own life, and the stupid guy seemed to have some extra breath of life. Cassandra stood in the distance, and she was suddenly relieved. In fact, as long as she watched him live, she was very happy. It's just that she still hates Harry Potter. If it weren't for Harry Potter, stupid guys wouldn't have been hurt at all. Just coax it, she won't be here to see this. Cassandra turned and left. I thought the matter was stable. The result? The next day it was said that the idiot was spit on the fool. Truth teller. Are stupid guys crazy? Of course, along with the Daily Prophet mailed along, there was another part of the photo ball. She shook her forehead and opened the photo ball. She watched as the Slytherin gang wanted to kill the stupid guy, and they discussed in front of the stupid guy what to do after killing him. She saw how the stupid guys were praying for them. She saw the Death Eaters laughing wildly. I also saw the scene where the stupid guy fell down with a bitter smile at the end. How can people go too far? These students are not Death Eaters, they are even more terrifying than Death Eaters. I think that those people at the trial actually put all the blame on the stupid guys. Cassandra didn't even know what kind of mood the stupid guy had confessed to those charges. Maybe it's his stupid kindness again? Fortunately, the matter finally passed. Even if the stupid guy sent fudge in, it didn't surprise her too much. Still, Dad's letter said he had doubts. He felt that there might be Dumbledore's handiwork. After all, Fudge's arrest did seem to be in Dumbledore's favor. He also temporarily assumed the position of acting minister. Of course, he also reminded Cassandra. Fudge couldn't have been held for long, and there were many people who didn't want Dumbledore to be a minister now, fearing that Dumbledore's prestige was too high. For the common good, Fudge will also become a minister. Tell him to be careful of revenge. Dad reminded in the last sentence. Cassandra felt that it was useless, that guy could value this thing? But she walked over and said it. But the stupid guy didn't think anything of it, he thought Cassandra was thinking too much. Because he felt that if the minister could be released after being interrogated, it would prove that the minister was a righteous person. Since he is righteous, then he cannot be retaliated against. Sure enough, this stupid guy told him that he didn't use his mouth. Episode 257, is not a? Hogwarts is finally reopening. Lockhart hosted a dueling club. It was the dean and Lockhart who competed. Looking at the stupid guy's worried eyes and the trepidation of the dean, Cassandra felt speechless. Does the dean still need him to worry? The dean didn't know anything to others, but was absolutely steady with Lockhart. And, I don't know if she was wrong. When the stupid guy said that he was worried about the dean's eyes flashed with pride and deference. Of course, the next thing she looked at was gone. Maybe she was wrong? Cassandra thought uncertainly. Then Lockhart flew away. Yes, Lockhart's flying movements teased her. Watching the stupid guy anxiously run up to help Lockhart, she approached with interest. I don't know if that stupid guy will see that Lockhart is a waste of wood. Hey? Haven't seen it yet? Stupid guy really believes that Lockhart is not playing well? Forehead. This time, the dean was a little uncomfortable. Lockhart flew again. The stupid guy was obviously shocked. He rushed to save Lockhart. It's just that. Poof. The stupid guy hit Lockhart with the spell. Looking at Lockhart's sinister expression, Cassandra was a little sympathetic to him. But then I saw the stupid guy panicking and apologizing, and I thought Lockhart was too pretentious. Didn't I just get smashed, and I didn't fall off? Even if something really went wrong, wasn't there still Madame Pomfrey? She thought unhappily. And then I saw that Lockhart seemed to threaten the stupid guy, and he was going to compare with the stupid guy? Which tendon is this confused? Stupid guy, he certainly can't beat it. But the stupid guy who is threatened may actually release the water. Forget it, put water on water. After all, if the stupid guy doesn't do something, he will definitely feel guilty. And it is estimated that few people will feel that Lockhart can win with dignity. It's just that she still underestimated Lockhart. Obviously, just start straight, let the stupid guy put water on him, and deceive a few ignorant girls. As a result, he actually mentioned what had happened before. Looking at the stupid guy's gradually reddening eyes, Cassandra glanced at Lockhart. Just when she thought she was going to secretly cast a curse on Lockhart, she saw that Lockhart had actually sneaked up on the stupid guy. The stupid guy knocked him away with a wave of his wand. Looking at Lockhart's situation, he fainted almost instantaneously. Well deserved. It was a sneak attack. He thought the stupid guy was him? For those of Darren, they were not afraid of being attacked at all. Otherwise, how could he catch so many Death Eaters by himself? But the stupid guy was freaked out. He almost cried and was about to take Lockhart to the school doctor's office. However, he was stopped by the dean. The dean was particularly bad. He even threatened Lockhart with his reputation. It seems that the dean really dislikes Lockhart, as is rumored. Lockhart compromised. He stood up and wanted everyone to have a duel. However, he should never laugh at the stupid guy again. The stupid guy was just careless, he didn't mean it, and how could Lockhart not say that it was his own meanness? Cassandra herself petitioned to be compared to Lockhart. Lockhart saw her as a girl, looked down on her, and as a result she cast a curse covered in moss, like a toad. She thought it was a prank. Who knew that Lockhart had actually started scolding, and he was calling Slytherin a mean and shameless guy except for Darren. Cassandra looked subconsciously at the stupid guy. Wouldn't the stupid guy think the same way? Although she was angry with him, he was always so kind. He should be reluctant to accept such a prank, right? Cassandra suddenly felt a little depressed. She looked at his expression again. His expression grew more and more serious. Maybe he really couldn't stand her doing that. But Cassandra pursed her lips, and she suddenly became aggrieved. Look, you always think about that guy, he's not actually the same person as you. You should have recognized it this time, right? Not all the way. Like Mom said, the wolf fell in love with the sheep. Cassandra even wanted to turn around and leave. She didn't care what Lockhart thought of Slytherin, after all, it was what everyone thought. But she couldn't help but care about the stupid guy's impression of Slytherin. Yeah, the last time he attacked him was Slytherin. And she seems to be doing too extreme. It must seem unforgivable to him, right? It's just that. Professor, I think Slytherin is friendly. Cassandra's whole face was red when she was held by the stupid guy. She hadn't actually heard the stupid guy say anything, forgot what she had said, and went back to the Slytherin lounge in a daze. Before entering the dormitory, Pansy said in her ear with some jealousy, "Someone seems to have been held by the hand today. Sigh, look at someone's appearance. I thought someone was stupid. Me, I was just so shocked that I didn't break free." That's right, that's it. She said this, but the corners of her mouth quietly rose. Feel it. Pansy skimmed her lips and passed in front of her. Cassandra's fingers curled up quietly for a moment before she remembered that Christmas had arrived at the dormitory. The stupid guy still has to stay in the dormitory. She didn't go home either. She told Dad she needed to write something, and by the way, the homework wasn't done yet. Isn't it normal for second-grade assignments to be heavy? She thought straight. Then she saw the stupid guy and Crabbe and Gower, and Malfoy walked in from outside. Well, today's stupid guy seems a little different. The same goes for Malfoy. He sneaked a glance at her, as if to let her pass, and he was going to talk. Who does Malfoy think she is? Will Miss Wallet listen to her? She just sat in her chair and didn't speak, listening to the taunts of the stupid guys by the men. Say it is a mockery, in fact, whether it is a stupid guy or them, they understand that this is a concern for the stupid guy. But the stupid guy shed tears. Cassandra frowned and looked at the stupid guy. Malfoy gave her a look-and-see expression. Obviously Malfoy had felt wrong from the moment on. Could it be a Death Eater? But this person really behaves like a stupid guy, is she thinking too much? Still, she was a little skeptical. So she let the guy into the dormitory. She quietly clenched her wand, and if he couldn't get in, she was just catching a Death Eater. Nanny? Got in? Cassandra was confused. The wand in her hand swirled around, and she just couldn't figure out why. Is it really a stupid guy? She really couldn't understand it, and had been there in a daze for a long time. Listen to Crabbe and Gower's stupid clichés below. Hey? Cliché? Crabbe and Goyle are stupid and don't have that anymore, right? And are their faces starting to change? Compound decoction. She thought almost subconsciously. And she was also angry to find that the person disguised as a stupid guy seemed to be the Miss Jack of all trades. Excessively. That stupid guy actually gave his identity to someone else? Did he ask himself? Episode 258, The Mock Cat That Almost Was Killed. Cassandra was almost subconsciously angry. Malfoy also poured oil on the nearby fire. That Crabbe and Goyle just now, Harry Potter and Weasley in disguise, ridiculously killed me. The two of them also wanted to install Crabbe and Gower, and they had no idea that we had talismans between us that could sense each other. You don't know, just now I watched their movements, and I immediately thought of the scar, and the scar turned gray. I know him. Cassandra was a little shocked. She even wanted to ask, you wouldn't like Harry Potter, would you? Huh? No wonder this guy seems good to stupid guys. If you like Harry Potter, good to Harry Potter's brother, it seems normal? And this guy also likes to find trouble with Harry Potter? No. The heirs of the Malfoy family still have this fetish? I didn't. Malfoy gritted his teeth. I was looking for trouble with Scar because I couldn't get used to him, and I was good to Potter Jr. because. What do you guys do? It seems to be warmer, and I have the ability to explain why I am good to stupid guys for no reason? Or maybe this guy likes stupid guys? Cassandra's face was full of vigilance. I swear, if I have extraordinary feelings for the two of them, I'm a dog. Malfoy was laughed at much more, and finally gritted his teeth. Then he looked at all the girls present and said angrily, come, you also swear, if anyone likes Darren Porter, he will be a dog. Ahem, childish. That is, who swears with you? What do you don't like Potter has to do with us? I should have let Mr. Malfoy the Great see you out. The girls in the lounge laughed in a pretentious manner. Malfoy's sad eyes looked at her. Cassandra counted her shoulders. Wait until you can beat me, then threaten me again. Cassandra said haughtily. Malfoy's face grew even angrier. It's your head, thanks to my kindness to tell you, Darren Porter is not right. But this time it was not a loss, I just showed him the newspaper that Weasley and his father were fined, and the expression on his face almost laughed me to death. Is it? She didn't pay attention. She was just a little upset. Why did that stupid guy let someone else come to Slytherin in his capacity? Also, why could that Miss Jack of all hands open his door? The more Cassandra thought about it, the angrier she went, and she walked over to Dallin's dormitory door and pushed hard. Then, the door opened. How come? She remembered that the dean had said that only those who asked him to agree could go in. Could it be the person who approves? She closed the stupid guy's dorm door with a headache. By the end, the whole Slytherin might be able to open his door. Still, that stupid guy is going too far for him to use his identity to come to Slytherin. She's going to stay in the lounge and wait, just. Stupid guy was sent to the school doctor's office by Miss Mastermind in the afternoon? Because of drinking? How can a stupid guy drink? Cassandra suddenly remembered that at the banquet, the fool had drunk a cup of liquid handed to him by Miss Masterstone. Could that be wine? Miss Mastermind is too much. No wonder at the time. She thought they were playing. Just to find out what was going on, he sent the stupid guy to the school doctor's office. These guys are amazing. Hopefully the stupid guy can watch out for some next time. As for her? What else could she do? She's just an ordinary female classmate, what else can she do to the famous Harry Potter and the stupid guy's two best friends? Cassandra's heart was sour. Ever since Darren's theory was published in the Wisengamo Press, he had stayed in his dorm room except for classes. The first is to create a potion for outsiders to turn squibs into wizards in order to develop squibs as soon as possible. 2, of course, is studying how to quietly smuggle into the Gryffindor lounge. However, he studied for a few days and found that he might be able to swim at night or become an animagus before he could enter. Animagus is not good for the time being, and he himself wants to find a way to transform. It is better to expect the system to quickly reward him with master transfiguration. Allow him to turn into any animal. So he prepares for the night tour. The cloak of invisibility had reappeared inside his closet. Ever since Rogier decided to follow him, she had sneaked the invisibility cloak back. It is worth mentioning that Rogier almost killed his mock cat. She thinks that Lizzie is very problematic and steals her master's things, so she has a prey on the mock cat. Fortunately, the simulated cat can't die. So it's back. And let Darren understand that he was almost killed. After all, Rogier thought it was impossible for Darren to do it, so he secretly and didn't tell Darren openly. Fortunately, Lizzie has been digested. Otherwise, if you know that Rogier crossed the river and demolished the bridge, you may be angry to death. Of course, those are all other words. He decided to put on his invisibility cloak this evening. Let's hope we don't let him spend the night there. Otherwise, tomorrow the news that the famous Harry Potter brother has been captured by the Death Eaters will spread throughout Hogwarts. But let's get ready. I really can't come back for a while and a half, and I also have to make the appearance of Kiki Ye's research on potions. The image of his little father must be maintained. And even if he could come back tonight, he would have to find a chance for someone to visit his dormitory. Darren took out of his bag a pile of crucibles that looked like a decent study potion, and inside the pot were some half-finished potions. These were all things he had nothing to do when he was idle. Just to show people how serious he is. It is impossible to suddenly come up with a finished product, which is not easy to explain. After all, he wasn't going to take it out again at the end of the semester. He wanted to be quick. But there is some trouble soon. After all, it is necessary to be prepared enough not to make people suspicious. Like the antidote he took out during his summer vacation, he could explain it with the preparation of the previous year. This year, this squib became a wizard's potion, but you can't do that. It must be taken seriously. For the sake of realism, he didn't clean up his hair these 2 days when he went out, and it looked messy. And come out and go in and hold the book. As soon as I have time, I look like I read a book. Several professors advised him to combine work and leisure, and not to always oppress himself in this way. Yes, they use the word oppression. Oh, and some more books to pack. New books don't work. Because it looks too fake. You have to be the kind of old book that looks like you've turned it over many times. This requires the help of the system. Ding, if you want to make old books, you need 500 father values. If you want to make the host dormitory as a whole into a scene of research maniacs, sleeping and forgetting to eat, you need 5,000 father values. Which one does the host choose? Rain, episode 259, the SpaceTime corridor? Oh, the system still has this ability? Darren is a bit incredible. But he reacted immediately. The system is inherently unscientific. System, using the 5 fathers values, the worse I am, the better. To show the scene where I haven't slept for days and nights, the kind that will be shocked to tears for anyone who comes in. Ding, start the transformation is successful, the sound of the system falls. Darren saw a scene that shocked him. On the walls of the dormitory are written piles and piles of material ratios. There was also a bag of biscuits on the floor. But there was only one bag, and it was like he had eaten such a little thing for a few days. There was also a cup next to it that fell to the ground, as if someone wanted to pick it up and take a sip, but because it was not secured, it fell to the ground. Wait a minute. All kinds of small details. It's also too. Ding, this is based on the research environment of some famous scientists, no wonder it's so realistic. Darren couldn't help but look up to the scientists. But there is something else to do at this time. Darren puts on the cloak of invisibility. I was going to open the door and go out, but after thinking about it, I still used ghosting. This was the reward he had received when he was petrified by Justin and Nick petrified. Can become a ghost state and can then cross walls. But he still encountered a little problem. Because he could cross, but the cloak of invisibility could not pass through the walls. In the end, he could only float out of the window wearing an invisibility cloak. Hiding along the way, he finally entered the Gryffindor lounge. Darren stood in the Gryffindor lounge, imagining the location. Then a transparent note appears in front of you. Apparently, the place has been hidden. Only people who know this location can enter here. He took out his wand and knocked twice at that point, and then a dark green door appeared in front of his eyes. Ding, congratulations to the host for touching the Slytherin vault, the system prompt sounds. It seems that there should be no problem. He pushed the door open slightly, and stepped inside. When the door is pushed open, a corridor stretches out to both sides. In the corridor are dense doors. He went up and pushed and found that every door could not be pushed open. Ding, congratulations to the host for obtaining the space-time corridor. After using 10,000 father values, you can choose any door to enter. After entering, the identity will be randomly obtained. Of course, you can also spend the Holy Father value for high probability randomization. The closer you are to the identity of the character in the plot, the more father value is required. No, wait. Darren looked confused. Isn't this the Slytherin Chamber of Secrets? How did it become a space-time corridor? System, you wouldn't be ignorant of my Slytherin Chamber of Secrets, would you? Ding, the Slytherin Chamber of Secrets connects to the girls' washroom, where Gryffindor and Slytherin meet. Does the host need that room? Really fake? It was as if he had gotten some incredible message from this sentence. No, it shouldn't be. Meeting doesn't have to be that kind of thing. Ding, Sue mainly does not like this secret room. You can directly cancel this reward, the system will restore it. No. Darren quickly rejected the system's offer. Nor is he greedy for the space-time corridor, he just can't refuse the kindness of others. There is no first time to use the Holy Father value to select the identity. Darren thinks he should at least know which plot character it is, right? However, the system did not intend to tell him. Ding, all plot characters are randomly selected, the host can inquire after entering. Alright. This is not to show the value of the Holy Father and not to tell anything. Darren looked at his father with heartache. System, you reward me with the space-time corridor. Do you still need me to pay the Holy Father value? Ding, the host cannot pay, but after entering, no matter the time and space and what the plot characters, it is random. The system will not operate. That is, if the Father value is not used, even the system does not know where he will be thrown. It's the same difference as being an official car and a black car. Does this still need to be chosen? Of course it's a black car. People don't need money for black cars. Darren immediately chose the option of not having a father value. Ding, the system has opened the channel. The next time the host enters, the system management will no longer be needed. The host can enter by itself. Ding, the host only needs to hold the doorknob to enter. So be it. Darren immediately chose a doorknob. Then with a gentle push, the door opens. Hey! His dormitory? Darren was stunned. Isn't it a plot character? How is it still him? He quickly stood up and looked in the mirror. No, it's not the same. Although it was still him, he was already very tall, and the mirror in front of his dormitory was also much taller. As for the face. Sigh. This is called a handsome man. What is the little fresh meat you have seen before? He is standing here now, the favorite one of the big mother, the royal sister, and the little sister. But the wisps of stupid hair that had tangled him before were still there. This James's bloodline is still very tenacious. Just, right? Although it was still him who crossed over, there was a question: what did his space-time corridor do to throw him here? He opened the door in confusion. Potter, you're finally out, and I thought you'd stay inside until you die. A blonde and blue-eyed high-cold beauty was standing coldly outside the door. Darren really wants to ask, who are you? But then he remembered that this wouldn't be what Cassandra would look like when she grew up, right? That's so pretty. It's just that. Is he so familiar with Cassandra now? Probably not. Cassandra had always liked him, but she didn't like to express it. So always with a cold look at him. As it is now, it should still be unfamiliar. At best, the relationship is better. So, at this age, did he have any accidents? Darren instantly switched his heart-like expression. I'm sorry, I still have something. His voice was calm and his tone was calm, but looking into his dead gray eyes, whoever it was, could see his despair. What does Sirius's death have to do with you? Even Harry Potter said, it has nothing to do with you. Why do you always blame yourself for the death of Sirius? Sirius dead? Didn't he save Sirius? This is a little strange. Episode 260, The Death of Sirius. Ding, sensing that there is a scene of the Holy Father system playing around the host, now release a temporary task, go to Cassandra's side and say in a desperate voice, it is because of me that he is dead, and I can't feel that I have nothing to do with myself just because my brother said he didn't blame me. Sorry, I said too much. Let me know, I still have something to do. Ding, after the mission is completed, get the reward. Sirius's source of hatred. Does the host take the task? Sirius's hatred? No way. Sirius hates him? Isn't that a bit harsh? Wouldn't it be that Sirius knew that there were many bloodlines in his body? Darren was suddenly a little weak-hearted. But it was back to square one. Hate him, and he's not afraid. When he was scared too. Access, although he was not afraid, he must at least know why Sirius hated him, right? Darren took a deep breath, then looked at Cassandra with some bitterness in his eyes. Cassandra took a step back from the look in his eyes. Then I heard him say desperately, I know a lot of people say it has nothing to do with me, but Sirius died because of me. No matter what others say, I can never console myself that these things have nothing to do with myself. Maybe I'm just a broomstick star. Sorry to scare you, I just have some. Sorry, can you let it go? I need to leave. Ding, congratulations to the host for completing the mission and getting Sirius' source of hatred. Sirius's source of hatred. Sirius felt an unusual aura through the Black family's belongings on the day Lily returned. He had seen the Dark Lord, and Lily had the breath of that man in her. Because it was unbelievable, when Sirius learned that Lily had changed from a child to two in her belly, he instantly thought of a lot of things. But at that moment, he couldn't throw a tantrum at Lily because she was innocent. He didn't want to tell James the truth, so he put his hatred on the child in Lily's belly. As soon as you were born, Sirius felt the horror. So when the Death Eaters came to grab you, he pretended to be invincible and handed you over, and then the Death Eaters threw you on the battlefield, and Sirius threw you into the Muggle world. He can't kill you with his dead hand, but he can't accept your existence anymore. Forehead. That's the way it is. Those ancient wizarding families are really powerful. This can all be found. However, it seems that before he was bound by the system, he had Voldemort's blood in his body. It's just very likely that it's too little and doesn't show it. The reward of the system should be to increase the concentration of the blood vein and then make the blood vein work. Darren sighed. The expression on his face made Cassandra successfully misunderstand. She pursed her lips, trying to say something, but in the end she didn't say anything. In the end, I could only retreat in silence. Darren walked outside expressionlessly. He was still thinking in his heart that at this time, he had personally killed Sirius, and then used a forged card to cause such an accident. Or did you follow the plot without rescuing Sirius? However, looking at his current height, it should be the appearance of the 5th and 6th grades. Sirius came out in the 3rd grade, and if he really wanted to kill Sirius, maybe he would kill it in the 3rd grade. So it should not be his hand, at best, it is just to conform to the plot. Darren thinks that's it. If there is a disagreement, it is himself anyway, and he himself will experience it. Thinking like this, Darren was still expressionless. But when he stepped out of the Slytherin lounge, he almost laughed. Because at this time, Harry is like in the movie version, and he is starting to gradually become greasy. Touching his face, Darren was very glad that he had a system. Otherwise, foreigners are really getting old too fast. Next to Harry stood Hermione. "Oh, my dear, you've finally come out, and Harry and I thought you were going to stay in the dormitory until you die, and I asked Miss Borley to call you. Are you all right?" Hermione came up and hugged Darren. Darren immediately sensed that Hermione had indeed grown up at this time. Pretty big. However, he still shook his head bitterly, and made enough of his heart-like expression. I'm okay. I just want to be calm and calm, I can control myself, I'm not what I was when I was a kid. Ding, father plus 100, ding, father plus 100, ding, father plus 100, ding. Darren accepted the father's value. The expression on his face quickly became calm. It's just that those turquoise eyes are still gradually turning red. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm just a little out of control. He wiped his eyes haphazardly, then squeezed out a smile and said, "All right, Hermione, brother, and Ron, let's go." Ding, father plus 100, ding, father plus 100, ding, father plus 100, ding. Darren, we're not kids anymore. How can your clumsy concealment skills fool us? Harry said, "I don't blame you, Sirius fell on his own, you just didn't hold him, what does it have to do with you?" Hermione pulled Darren, sadly. Darren's fingers trembled slightly. On the surface, he showed that he was trying to control himself not to be sad, but in fact, he praised himself in his heart. Sure enough, he guessed correctly, Sirius had fallen on its own. It had nothing to do with him, he just didn't hold back. Of course, if Sirius hadn't been pulled, he would also need to install a wave of little holy fathers like him. Darren, you don't have to. Sirius, he doesn't like you. You don't need to be sad for him. And he's only my godfather, not your godfather. Harry suddenly looked at Darren and said expressionlessly. Harry, how do you say that? Yeah, Harry, how do you say that about Darren? Hermione and Ron shouted anxiously. Darren found that Harry didn't mean to taunt him, just to make him comfortable. After all, he was telling the truth, Sirius was Harry's godfather, not Darren's godfather. And Sirius really didn't like Darren. Darren's sadness really wasn't necessary. Harry's meaning should be to make him feel more comfortable. However, for a little holy father like him, it is natural to find other angles of sadness. I'm sorry. Brother, I'm sorry. Darren looked as if he had heard something terrible, and his face turned white in an instant. I'm sorry, brother. You're right, you blame me, I killed him. Only then did you have no godfather.